To understand why I am so hyped to show you what is underneath this cloth, you first have to know three things. Number one, I consider the designer a personal friend of mine and this is his first release. Two, I have excitedly followed the progress of this knife for over a year, from concept phase to this prototype. And number three, this is the first video you will find on YouTube of the Ketuo and SevrSevn USURPER Prototype. A very dope design, soon to drop from Ketuo, and this is the first review. You don't want to miss this one, folks. Stick around. What it do, Kripple Krew? EDCwithDBD, disabled but deadly, and it's no joke that I'm hella stoked to be the first person that gets to review my homie SevrSevn's Ketuo USURPER Prototype. Before we get into that, I do want to mention that very soon you're going to see a review on the Ketuo Griffin and Mini Griffin G10 versions. And spoiler alert, they have made my top 6 best budget knives of 2025 video, and you're gonna have to watch that video as well to see if they take the #1 spot. Ketuo has been doing amazing things all year long, and I'm really stoked for next year, including this sick knife you see right here. Before we get into it, stab that like button like you mean it. Make sure that you have /subscribe, and also that you bash that bell for notifications so that you don't miss anything, like early reviews of designs. All right, Kripple Krew, we are here to talk about this gorgeous prototype by our homeboy Derek, aka SevrSevn. And before I tell you about this knife, I gotta speak a little bit about my homie. This is one driven dude who is focused on setting the best example for his son that he can. He is a fair amount younger than me. He's a young husband and father. He has a full-time job. He recently completed work for his first master's and is working on his dissertation for his second master's, with plans to complete a third afterwards. And he recently took on the job of working sales for Ketuo USA and managing their social media, on top of designing his own knives. And this is only the first of 4 upcoming drops that are already in the works. Like, you will see them. This actually may not be the first one that drops. It's in a race with a Kubi. Either one could be the first one to drop, but we're going to talk about this gorgeous USURPER prototype today. First off, the Ketuo USURPER comes in at 7 5/8 inch overall length with a 3 3/8 inch beautiful clip point Tanto blade, American Tanto blade, with a gorgeous compound grind, and in this case a blasted finish. We have a handle length of 4 1/4 inches with beautiful contoured and milled titanium scales, a full length milled titanium backspacer, making it feel like an integral without the price, and we'll talk about that more in a bit, and a milled tip up, as always intended, pocket clip of titanium. It is right hand only, and it does have great clearance. This knife goes in and out of my pocket very well, even though this pocket clip is a little short, and for titanium, sometimes that makes them too tight. Ketuo has done a phenomenal job of making this one that goes in the pocket well, it holds, and it comes out when you want it to. This prototype is very close to what you can expect from the production models, with a couple of changes in the works. But some of the things that are going to stay the same is this beautiful hardwareless look on the show side. And then the only visible hardware we have on our clip side is our pivot. The pocket clip is screwed into the scale from the inside. I love that blind screwed look, leaving it look so clean. And then you remove the backspacer and the pivot to take this knife apart. The way that he has designed this and put hours and hours of thought into how to make a zero hardware except for the pivot design knife, it just gives it that extra clean, classy look and makes it feel more premium in hand when you're not encountering hardware. We're going to talk about the ergos on this beautiful knife. So my first thought when I saw his drawing, I did think that this handle was going to be too narrow. As you guys are aware, I have a fair amount of nerve damage and arthritis in my hands, and skinny knives can really cause my hands to cramp up when I'm using them. The bug out is a great example. That's a knife I couldn't keep. Even after putting contoured carbon fiber scales on it, it was still too thin for my hands. They cramped up. I had to get rid of it. And I worried that this might have the same issue. So I was very pleased when I got to handle this at Blade Show West. Crazily enough, before homie Sever even got to handle his own design, I got to handle this at Blade Show West, and I realized how thick these contoured titanium scales are, and the fact that that girthiness really does fill out my hand in a way that makes it feel comfortable. Since it is wide here and here, it just works, especially in this saber grip using this Jimp thumb ramp. I just feel comfortable and locked in when I'm going to be using what is going to be a razor sharp edge. Of course, you know Ketuo always does insane finishes on their edges. I don't know the final steel for this. Ketuo does use a lot of M390, and they do a phenomenal job with their heat treat on it. But they also use Vanex. So I'm not sure of the actual steel on it, but I do know that knowing Ketuo's edges and their heat treats, it's going to come wicked sharp and hold it for a long time. One thing that I do want to point out, see if I can get it to focus, is there is some very fine micro milling on this pocket clip. All the way, and I don't know if I can get it to show, but both sides of the pocket clip ramp where it goes over the pocket are milled. So like the exterior surfaces of the pocket clip have this very, very fine micro milling that is just an extra detail that they thought of and covered in this. Like, the attention to detail is nuts on this knife. And continuing with the ergos, if I had to flip this around and rock it into a beef jerky Avenger grip, oh, am I comfortable, capped off, locked in, and that width feels perfect. I feel like this is not going anywhere. Rock it around into a beef jerky Defender grip, and even though it's not quite as comfortable since the angle of the ramp doesn't go with my thumb like it does in the Avenger grip, I'm still capped off. That pocket clip is in the meat of my hand right up in here. And there is no way this knife is going anywhere, even with some beef jerky juice. It is absolutely a very tactical design while still being highly EDC friendly. When I flick this open, this reminds me of like a next-gen stealth fighter. And I mean, even you have the cockpit window in this blade cut out. You know what I'm saying? This thing looks so wicked. But we've got a beautiful hollow grind and a straight edge here that's going to be great for slicing tasks. This would be a cardboard destroyer. And then we have a much longer edge from our primary to our secondary tip than you normally see in a Tanto, even an American style Tanto. Typically, our secondary edge is much further out along the blade, so that our forward edge is much shorter. However, this extra length here, besides adding some crazy piercing ability with the fact that it carries all of this girth, which looks to be all of 140 thousandths blade stock thickness, carries a lot of that out to that pokey tip with that flat grind. But that long forward edge is great for press cuts down onto a surface. It gives you a lot to work with. Plus you have that razor sharp primary edge that's easy to get down in a utility grip, because our tip does, while it doesn't come down to center line with the pivot, this straight clip does bring it down a fair amount. But in a pinch grip, you could use this secondary tip really well on a flat surface for scoring cuts of any type. Or I could open boxes with that secondary tip. Very EDC friendly for a lot of tasks, while still being very bulky for those beef jerky defense scenarios. You know, of course, I always recommend a fixed blade, but for beef jerky defense, but you use what's on you. As you can see, we have an inset liner for the lock that is done very well. Our prototype, at least, has lock up at about 35% and 0 lock stick. It is very, very smooth. You know, Ketuos are going to be insanely smooth on the drop. And while both of our scales are the same at the moment, meaning there is no cutback to access the liner, because of how wide this knife is, I don't have an issue getting my thumb in there and moving that over at all. Whoops. Or using my index finger to move that liner out of the way. No issues. Would it help a little to have a little bit of cutback here? Yeah, I don't know if they're going to do that on the final version, honestly, because they might want to keep the scales the same for the beautiful look. And if they do, I'm here to tell you, I don't believe you're going to have any issues working that liner. Now, this is actuated with that dual-sided blade cutout. And it does work very well for me. However, one of the two things that I noticed when I handled this at Blade Show West was that this edge is not very sharp in here. So at first, until I knew the best places to grab it, my finger might slip a little bit when I was trying to flick it. Not bad. Again, as you can see, I've had this knife for about 2 weeks now, and I've carried it extensively. Thank you again, Sever, for allowing me to carry your one and only prototype. Not only that, so real quick, some more backstory. I was supposed to meet up with SevrSevn in person for the first time. After talking for well over a year, he's been a long time supporter of my channel, and I've had his back since he started his. I've sent knives for him to review. He's sent some other insane knives for me to review. Great dude. We're supposed to meet at Blade Show West, and I was going to get to see him and talk to him and see this prototype and talk to him about it. Due to travel issues, he wasn't able to make it. So I actually handled this prototype before he did. And I let him know immediately that, besides the fact that I loved this knife, he asks what can be improved. And I said that the first thing that I told Ketuo was that this would work really well as a front flipper if that jimping was fixed. The jimping was supposed to go all the way back and around and up and over the corner here. And it was supposed to be a grippier style of front flipper friendly jimping. This is more of a decorative jimping on the prototype. It's kind of soft. It does help to lock me in, but only when I'm like pushing down into it. It's not the grippiest because of the way that they've smoothed it out. And so it makes it so that it's not easy to get that front flip, even though I can make it happen. So they said yes, they understood that both Ketuo and SevrSevn said that this jimping was going to be fixed. And then I told him that the second thing that I told them was that this ledge could be, a little sharper, just to make it easier to catch. Maybe a little deeper if they can make it any deeper, because this is a thick blade stock, so they might be able to pull it off. But if not, just a little sharper. Again, absolutely functional the way it is. But that slight detail, and they are going to change that, will make a big difference for some folks. This is a prototype, so I'm not judging the plunge grind on the prototype. He does say that this is going to be done. The plunge is going to be brought back a little bit more, and the choil is going to be improved. So I'm not judging the sharpening choil on the prototype. But those two things were quality of life adjustments that I noticed right away, as well as noticing how much I love the knife. The only other thing I could think of to suggest would be a little bit of lockback, or a little bit of lock bar access on that front scale. But again, that is absolutely not a deal breaker for me. Spoiler alert, I'm buying this knife when it drops. Do I have a final price on it yet? No. But knowing Ketuo, my guess is this is going to be somewhere between $200 and $300. Ketuo. So Ketuo and Reich are the two brands of Ketuo USA. Ketuo USA has been around since 2017, and they founded Reich as like their crazy engineering artistry department. And they have their own proprietary, their own self-designed 5-axis CNC machines with which they can pull off some crazy stuff. And Ketuo takes everything that they learn from all of that crazy Reich engineering and turns it into useful EDC knives that you want to carry and use all the time. And their engineering, their fit and finish, they are absolutely one of the best manufacturers on this planet. I put their skill on I mean their manufacturing capabilities absolutely on par with Riot. But I believe that the engineers at Reich absolutely take it farther than Riot does, and that allows Ketuo to, and Ketuo is the lesser priced brand of the two. Reich is more expensive. Ketuo is absolutely always very fair price for the materials and quality and finish they're giving you. Very competitively priced and always priced better than Riot. While to me, just doing things that even Riot doesn't do and making it work. Handling this prototype impressed me even more than I expected from the drawings. Any of my misgivings went away when I handled this beautiful knife. And I gotta tell you, I am so crazy excited for this to launch. It'll be on their website sometime in most likely the next month and a half. This is one we are going to see very soon. There will be a few different options as far as colorways on the titanium, including a black tie with gold on the milled accents and a DLC blade. Honestly, after seeing the 3 prototypes, I would be happy with any of the 3. The other one had a plain tie handle, and I can't remember if it was a satin or also a blasted finish. I don't know what the exact production combinations will be, but I know that whichever color combo you like the best, you can't go wrong with this awesome design by Derek. And I can't wait to see what 2026 brings for my homie. I have to thank him for sending this in and allowing the Kripple Krew to be the first to get to check out this wicked dope prototype. That means a lot. As soon as he got it, he didn't even record a video on it. He was just waiting for this to show up before he sent me a box with some other knives. And as soon as it showed up, he dropped this in and sent it to me to allow me to be the first one to show it on YouTube. And thank you, Derek. That means so much to me. And folks, do not sleep on the Ketuo Usurper Prototype. A note about the name. And I'm gonna rewatch this video. I may have called it the Noctis, and I may have said it more than once. So I got used to calling it that name throughout the over year-long production of this knife. And then right before this knife was supposed to drop, I think it was SevrSevn, released a Noctis model. Snatched the name right out from under him. Now, did they know he was bringing it? Probably not. They probably had that name, filed away as just a name they liked, looking for a knife to slap it to. But he had designed based off of that name. Like this was his plan for a long time. And as that name was usurped from him, this knife is now the Ketuo Usurper. One, I think it fits the looks of the knife so well. And I could picture like an F-47 Usurper fighter jet, right? Stealth fighter. Also, it fits the brand for Ketuo and the attitude. So, I am stoked for the Ketuo Usurper, and I hope you are too. Thank you for watching this one and hopefully putting up with my excitement. Let me know down below what you think of my homeboy SevrSevn's first design, the Ketuo Usurper. I almost did it. I probably did it earlier, almost did it again. Drop a comment below. Let him know what you think of this. I'm sure he's going to watch this video. If you have any questions for my boy Derek, drop them in the comments below. But stay tuned for more from my homie, and I will let you know when these are live on the website. Until next time, folks, stay safe, stay frosty, but most importantly, stay deadly.